All right, everybody, how are you doing? This is S. Anthony Thomas. This is the S. Anthony Says podcast, episode number 485. This episode will be called The Used Tos versus the Stills. Now, what does that mean? People that used to be able to do something and people that still do something. And I'll explain what I'm talking about right now. Now, people are surprised. I know I've been surprised in many cases how much super talent is actually around people. You don't realize how talented somebody is because you're not around them when they display their talent at full force. And because you don't get to see that, sometimes we overestimate the abilities of people who are better than average and not as good as a professional. Like, say for the sake of argument, you've never sat in a room and had Whitney Houston or Celine Dion or Mariah Carey or somebody like that sit right next to you and sing. Because if you did, you'll be listening to some of the best, most talented, most technically proficient singers that have ever walked the face of the earth, who blow the doors off of virtually everyone else who ever sang. And you've never sat next to that person and listened to that. Now, I've been around some famous people, and I've been around people who are super duper talented. And when they're sitting right next to you singing, or say it's a person who's in a band, a famous band, and they're playing their instrument, and you listen to them, you realize, oh, that's why they're famous, right? But the thing is, sometimes you're around someone who's better than the average person. Like, maybe you're playing basketball at the gym and some guy comes in and he was the guy that came off the bench in high school for a national championship team or a team that was really, really good. And of course, he played organized basketball against some of the best basketball players of that level, and you never played at that level. So of course, when you watch this guy play basketball, his skills are so far above yours. You're looking at this guy like, man, this guy is great. He could probably be in the NBA. No, because if he could be in the NBA, he probably would be in the NBA. He's better than you and better than most, but not better than them. You probably have been sitting next to somebody who sings better than the average person. Are they as good as Mariah Carey? Are they as good as Whitney Houston? Are they as good as Celine Dion or somebody like that? Heck no. But they're better than you and they're better than most. So you're sitting there going, man, this person should probably be one of the biggest singers. No, they're not as good as those people. And it's the same thing. You know, even if you drop it down a level, and just someone who's just very, very competent, high level professional versus someone who kind of wants to try the thing. Now, in the world of comedy, of stand-up comedy, I was a still at one point, but now I'm a used to. I'll be a going back and I'll be a still again at some point. But right now I'm a used to because I haven't done actual stand-up comedy in a while. But I was pretty daggone good at it. I did a couple national TV programs and some radio. I've done some things. My resume looks okay. All right. So I was pretty daggone good at it. And back when I was still active performing, I got asked by somebody to teach a comedy class. And I taught the comedy class. And I took it very seriously. I wrote out a lesson plan. I gave them I gave them instructions. I told them what to do. I answered all questions. I was there whenever they needed me. So we teach the class and we have the comedy show, right? And there was one guy there who was just a little bit arrogant because he's funny around his friends, right? He breaks his friends up. So he's not listening to some of the instructions, right? We go through the whole class. They all passed, good scores. We do the graduation show. Now, a lot of times when you have a show like this, it's in the contest format. And what that means is they're competing against each other for a prize. You win this number of dollars. You win this number of bookings. But this was just a graduation show. So we had hundreds of people there and they were all friends and relatives of the performers. And because they were not competing against each other, because sometimes when the people are competing against each other, all the other people will not laugh and show love to the people that their relative is competing against. So sometimes you'll have little pockets of people laughing and everyone else sitting there stone faced, intentionally not giving love to the other performers. But in this particular case, everybody was having a great time. They were clapping and laughing and stomping their feet for everybody, including their relatives. And it was a beautiful thing to see. And they called me on the stage. Here's one of our teachers. Yay, right? Not realizing that I was going to do my set after. I was like, I don't want to come up now because I'm performing in the show. So I go up and I do my thing. And of course it goes well. Fantastic. Great. And I shake the hands and I hug everybody. And this guy who was in the class was, cause I had taught a few comedy classes. And this particular guy was a little arrogant, but it was okay. I mean, he was a little hyped up. He had just done a show. It went really well. And he thinks that that's how it's going to go all the time. Ooh, the world is about to give him a lesson as effective as the lessons that I had given him. 6 months goes by. I'm doing a private show on a Saturday. I had some private shows on Friday. I had one private show on Saturday. So I had pretty much the rest of the evening off. Buddy of mine calls me, hey man, I'm in town, man. I said, oh, that's right. I forgot you were in town. Yeah, man. Why don't you come hang out at the show, my second show, and we'll go get something to eat afterwards. Cool. I show up. Oh, I forgot. Sorry. When he called me to say come to the show, he was complaining about one of the acts on the show. In a comedy show, there's the MC, which is the first person, that's the host. 15 minutes is usually what they do. There's the middle or feature. It's either feature / middle, the same thing. They do 30 minutes in the middle of the show, and then there's the headliner who does 45 minutes. My friend was the headliner. He was complaining about the feature on the show not being good enough, but having good spots, but not being good enough. I show up. We hang out, we high five, we bro hug, and he's telling me about, man, you got to see this dude, man. This guy's a pain in the butt, bro. I mean, he did a couple good shows Friday. I mean, they weren't that good, but he thinks he's like he thinks he's the next coming up. And I forgot what iconic comic he mentioned, but that guy thought he was that good already. And he goes, man, he's been such an ass, man. It's like, I almost wanted to have him kicked off the show, but it's like, he's such an ass, man. He really thinks he's all special and everything and this, that, and the other. Whoop, 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 whoop. I turn around and I see my students. Oh, I say to my boy, oh, dude. He goes, what? I go, remember that comedy class I did like 6-7 months ago? He goes, no, bro. I'm like, yeah. He goes, that Mother Jugs and Speed. He didn't say Mother Jugs and Speed. That Mother Jugs and Speed was in your class? I said, yeah. I said, I thought you said the class was good. I said, it did go well. And he goes, yeah, but that was like their friends and family. Like, I know. I go, so this fool thinks he's going to get the same response from people that don't know him that he got from his friends and family. He begins laughing. I said, man, he's an idiot. Man. I said, don't let him see me. I said, let's go talk someplace else. I don't want him to see me, man. MC goes on. My ex-student goes on. And this time, because he had some decent shows earlier, he goes into arrogance mode. He goes on stage, is going pretty well for the first 5 minutes, and then he gets in arrogant mode because he did a bit that he liked, but the audience didn't like, and he started becoming annoying to them and rude to them. And all of a sudden, when you were hearing laughs in the room, and it was this long stretch of time where it was eerily quiet, and I didn't know what was going on. And my boy, the headliner, looks in the window and he looks back at me with this look of horror on his face. He goes into the back because he knows he's going to be getting called up soon. I walk in because I want to watch my friend's set, and I'm in the back watching my ex-student bomb his ass off. I mean, it was quiet in that room because if you're a nice person on stage and you're not doing that well, your jokes are just kind of okay, audiences are nice enough people. They'll give you a little bit of chuckle. You know, a few people will laugh just to make you feel better, but they'll at least show you some attentiveness. And you might even get people, you're doing good, keep going, man. You might even get that. But they hated his guts. I literally could hear stomachs grumbling. That's how quiet it was. I could hear ass cheeks moving in the seat. I'm not talking about the creak of the seat. I'm talking about the literal asses moving. I could hear his feet on the stage, the little squeaking of walking back and forth across the stage. I could hear the mic cord on the floor as he turned back and forth as he was talking, and people were not even looking at him. They weren't even disrespectfully having conversations with each other. They were looking at his punk ass with hatred in their heart. You could feel the tension in the room. And my boy who's standing to my right, he knows he's got to go on after that. And he's looking at me like I did it. He was kind of looking at me slightly angry as if I'm sitting there going, I'm just as good as you as a headliner. You think, that's what I'm saying with my face. You really think I condone this? And then I looked at him as if to say, really, bro? And he looked at me. Then he started chuckling because he realized, of course, this is not my fault. The guy is on stage bombing his behind off. I see the person giving him the light to let him know that he has 3 minutes left.